Hey guys, how's it going? Tyler here. Got a customer brought in a 2008 Suzuki Gsxr 1000, and it has a bunch of stuff wrong with it right now. It needs new plastics, new stuff going on with the handlebars, throttle tube, grips. It needs chain sprockets, a few other little odds and ends things. But today I'm just going to be focusing on the front brakes. His front brake line broke from not being installed properly from the previous mechanic, and it leaked all the brake fluid out, so I'm going to have to replace the front brake lines and then bleed the brake fluid and get the brakes working properly again. So that's what we're tackling today. All right, so here's the bike. It's the Gsxr. It's a neighbor of mine's. Dropped it off yesterday. Here's the issue he's having. This brake line rubbed the tire till it busted through because it wasn't attached to the back of this fender. It looks like something's broken back there, so other side as well, it is broken. So we're going to be replacing those with these new brake lines offline, Russell brand. So this is going to be the one that hops over. We're going to replace both of them, the one that hops over from this caliper to this caliper, and the one that goes from this caliper up to the handbrake. My first step is I'm going to open up this front brake master fluid reservoir, and then I'm going to loosen up the front brake and tilt it back to where I can get to this line better right here, this banjo bolt. And I'm going to unbolt it, take both the brake lines off, and start putting on the new ones. So typically I wouldn't be pulling off the front fender on this job because you wouldn't need to, but seeing as how this one is broken and where the brake line gets held into on the fender to not rub the tire isn't there anymore, and luckily the customer bought the new plastics, so I'm going to go ahead and take this front fender off and then get ready to put the new one on so I can properly attach the brake lines. Okay, so first step of removing the brake lines. I got my 12mm wrench, crack them loose. A little bit of fluid might come out, that's why I got the cardboard down. No big deal. There we go. It's that side. Okay, so now I'm moving to the handlebars. Got my 8mm, a small 1/4" ratchet. Jesus, tight. Loosen these both up so I can move this back and get down here better. Pull it up. Now you can see your bolt a little better. It's also a 12mm. Gonna be doing it on the 1/4" ratchet as well. There is one more bracket on the lower triple that needs to be disconnected from, and then the line from the caliper to the master will come right out. On this bike, it is an 8mm head on that bracket to that line. Now with that bracket removed, line comes right out the bike. There's the old line. It wasn't cut through, but the kit came with both lines, so yeah, we have to replace both. So now that all the lines are off, everything's out of the way, I'm going to come through with a nice clean rag and wipe out all the areas where the crush washers are going to be sitting, both the calipers and the master underneath, just to be careful of any kind of sand or anything like that. Okay, so when you go to start these brake lines, the new ones going back onto the bike, always make sure you got the bolt, then the crush washer, then the line, then another crush washer before you screw it in, or it will leak everywhere. A little bit of tight squeeze. There we go. So you can see here, the new line. So now you can see here that the new line is on. These are actually very nice. They're marked front, upper from the people that make the brake lines. So it's just loosely fitted on right now. Then you have to make sure that you get these rubber bushings back to where they were on the factory setup. So like where that clamp was on that lower triple, we're gonna make sure one goes around there, and then as the other ones go together, we'll do the other one. All right, so the top clamp is installed, and you can see how I have that other rubber bushing underneath that hook up there. So now there's no way for it to get frayed, even though it's not the factory line. Now to connect it to the calipers. All right, so here is the new fender. Pretty, white. Can't go wrong with that. I'm gonna try to slide her back in without scuffing it up. Push it in on the sides right here. Slide her right past. Alright, so the new fender's on. Yeah, a bunch of crap hanging down. I had to just kind of tie it out the way temporarily. This bike's a mess. But got the line coming down, so now it's time for the crossover and the double banjo bolt, and we're gonna bleed some brakes. Alright, the double banjo is installed. Don't do what I did and put this one facing out that way, because I had to take the bolt all the way back out and then flip it over. But now this one's going up and this one's gonna cross over to the other side. Just like that. I'd like to also reiterate, with the crush washers on the double banjo, make sure bolt, washer, line, washer, line, washer, or it will leak. All right, so all the brake lines are installed now and tightened up, mounted properly, not dragging the tire. It's tightened up here. I tilted the front brake master back down to where it's going to be riding from now on. Next, I have to take out this Phillips head screw, open up the brake master fluid reservoir, and get some fresh fluid in there. My neighbor, Mr. William, come over to help supervise me. We're back to the brakes. This is the only type of brake fluid I like to use in sport bikes. It's got a higher boiling point. Motul, they do a 600 and a 660, which the 660 is a little bit better, but all they had at the store was a 600, so let's fill her up. Top it all the way off.
But it's regular, what is it, class 3, right?
All right, now that that's topped off, we're gonna break both of the bleeders loose on both sides. It's a 8mm or a 5/16 wrench. Either way it works. Get it nice and loose. There's no way that the oil's not gonna come out. Or the fluid, sorry. So now basically we just play the waiting game and use gravity to help us. So sooner or later this fluid's gonna start coming out of these bleeders, and then we're gonna do a little pump and bleed. All right, so after a couple of minutes, you can see here, gravity has worked. It has pushed all the fluid out. I'm just gonna hand tighten it back up for now so I don't lose too much fluid. Now come over to the other side because this is the furthest side, so it just started leaking after I shut that one off, working all the air bubbles out. Wait till we get more of a steady stream. While you're doing this, make sure to keep an eye on the reservoir. Make sure it doesn't go empty. Getting there, getting to be a steady stream, closer and closer. All right, that's pretty much no bubbles. So for now, I'm gonna shut that off. Snug it up ever so slightly. Just a little bit on both sides. All right, now we're basically halfway there. So now I'm just gonna repeat the process of pumping up the brake, holding it while cracking the bleeder loose at the wheel. So before I start pumping and bleeding, I did realize that this master is so soft right now. There's literally no grab at all. So I know that this master needs to be bled first and foremost. So I'm gonna go ahead and bleed this next. And then make sure to lay a rag down underneath it. Even though these plastics are getting changed, still no sense in getting brake fluid all over the place. So make sure to keep it clean. I'm gonna use my 8mm on my 1/4" ratchet so it doesn't squirt straight up all over the place and make a mess. So pump it, hold it, loosen it up. Bunch of air came out of there, it's good news. Tighten it up, pump it up again. I'm already getting some type of grab now. Gonna do it one more time. Loosen it up. Squirts out all over the place. Heard more air bubbles, so I know that's good. Tighten it back up. Already getting a good grab now, just off of that alone. I'm gonna do it one more time while I'm here. Didn't hear any air bubbles, so that's good. Tighten it back up. There is gonna be a lot of brake fluid on these jobs. Some of it's gonna get on the bike no matter what. So what I do is I just try to keep it wiped up, and then when I'm done, I'll take it outside and I'll hose it off all real good with water. So that'll take care of that. Okay, next we're going down here to the caliper. Same thing, I'm gonna use my 1/4" ratchet so it doesn't squirt up and make a huge mess. Pump it up, hold it, crack it loose. Little to no air bubbles. I'm gonna do it one more time. Pump it up, handle's getting really tight now. Loosen it up, no air bubbles. And like I said, there's gonna be brake fluid getting on the bike, even on the wheels, so I just make sure to hose it off real quick afterwards so it doesn't tear up any of the paint or anything like that. All right, so we're doing the same thing once again, but this time it's gonna be a little different as it's on the far side. So just give it the old reach around. Maybe get down here with it so you can get a good view of it. Put it on, pump it up, hold it. Heard a little bit of air bubbles. We'll tighten it back up. Do it again. Getting really tight now on the handle. Oh yeah, nothing but fluid. Money shot, baby. Now you may need to repeat this process a few times more. I'm probably going to, but I'm not gonna show you guys all that. It's just gonna be a waste of time, but just keep doing that until you know for sure you got all the air bubbles out the top and the bottom. Start at the top, work your way out the bottom, and I'm about to go hose this bike off right now, and it should be a job well done. All right, pulled it out here to wash it off a little bit. Make sure you put your reservoir cap back on before you hose it off. You don't want to get water in it. and just let her have it. Even though much didn't get on it up here, worth cleaning it. Just puts the lotion on the skin. Now we can see here, got a good tight pull, won't go any further. Done deal.